thinking too much about the future, thinking too much about the past, feeling overwhelmed, feeling just mentally body dominant. So we're just in our head a lot and unable to switch off. So you might actually find that this is a good evening one to practice before bed as well. Welcome to the Monday Movement series. Today we're going to be exploring the head and the mind, which is a little bit different to previous episodes in this series because we're not only going to be exploring the physical body in the sense that we're focused on the head region, like anatomically, but we're also going to be focusing on the mind. So we're starting to go more into the metaphysics a little bit with this session today. And the reason for that being when we look at psychosomatics of presentations around the head, like jaw tension, headaches, visual problems, hearing problems, when we have all these presentations of this head region, it's often correlated with the mental body and the mind, the state of consciousness. So we're going to be looking at themes of overthinking, thinking too much about the future, thinking too much about the past, feeling overwhelmed, feeling just mentally body dominant. So we're just in our head a lot, catching ourselves thinking a lot and unable to switch off. So you might actually find that this is a good evening one to practice before bed as well, especially if you're the type of person who does have trouble switching off their mind before bed, or, difficulty paying attention during the day because they're so consumed by their thoughts that by the time they get to bedtime, they're overthinking their day, And so we're going to start with some touch. We're going to start with our 2 fingertips, index and middle, and we're going to be gently placing them just below the jaw where that meaty part of the jaw is. You'll know by clenching your teeth together, you'll feel it pop out the muscle as you do that. And you're just going to be relaxing, no longer clenching, slightly opening the mouth, pursing the lips, letting it relax, inviting the jaw to relax, closing down the eyes, and just circling the hands. Gently. This is a somatic practice, so we don't ever aim to be rough or to force or to push. We're coming into it with gentleness and slow invitation. So just starting to circle around the jaw, noticing what's coming up as you do this, what sensations you're feeling. It might feel good, for example, to just feel the jaw release. There might be some feelings of resistance in the physical tissue as well as throughout the mind. You might notice some thoughts starting to come up as you circle, and then you might like to reverse the circle as well. But just take some time to notice what comes up here as we're circling through the jaw. Maybe some emotions, some thoughts, some physical body sensations, and just responding with your body as you do that. So you'll notice I'm starting to stretch my neck from side to side. That's just what my body naturally wants to do as it's responding. And I'm feeling a little more resistance on my right side, for example, compared to my left. But just noticing what comes up as you do this. And then we're going to shift our hands, same 2 fingers, index and middle, up to the temples. And again, circling. Noticing what comes up as we do this, taking some time to allow it to arrive as we do this, the sensations in the body. And often when we have headaches, for example, it can be correlated with neck tension, jaw tension, temple tension. And when we do have headaches, it's that we're often trapped in our thoughts. So we're trapped in a certain pattern, a certain way of thinking. Often it's correlated with limiting beliefs, limiting mindsets that have kept us stuck in a certain way of being. And the headaches and the tension are us wanting to break free from that, So that feeling of being caged can come up when we're working with the jaw and the temples, when it comes to the head space and the mind. That's how it all kind of links together. And then the next move, now that we've done circles around the jaw and the temples to release that TMJ region, the jaw region, is we're going to come to the back of the neck, which isn't technically the head, but it's going to help us to release all the muscles that attach from, the neck and the shoulders up into the base of the head, the top of the cervical spine where our occiput is, for example, and the sides of our jaw. So what we want to do when we place our hands behind the back of our neck is interlace them ever so slightly. It's not a full interlace, but just ever so slightly through the back of our head here. And we're just going to allow our arms to relax down, let them drop naturally as they will. And you're just going to slowly start to turn your head from side to side, allowing your hands to stay interlaced. And just feeling the resistance of the muscles underneath your hands here. Now, as you're doing this and rotating from side to side, you might start to feel your hands start to separate from that interlock. That's okay. Just keep bringing them back up and interlacing them. And just allow, as you rotate the neck, for them to loosen the interlace and slide down the sides of your neck as they go. And then just keep interlocking and then letting the hands slide down. So just keep doing this. Enjoy the neck movements. And as you're doing this and dropping into the body, feeling the sensations, noticing what arises, I'm just going to talk you through what can come up in this area of the body. You know, the lower part of the head, the part that attaches our neck to our head. And when we come through this area, we're looking at our perception of our reality. What rose-colored or tinted glasses are we wearing right now? This really correlates with those limiting beliefs that we have. What is that belief that comes to mind? Maybe we can tune into that now. Start to query into that as we're rotating the neck from side to side. What is a belief here that I've noticed just makes me feel icky right now? And by limiting a belief, I mean something that you feel like isn't possible or like you can't do in this life, but you know deep down it is true and possible. An example for me is like, I feel like I'm not enough for my partner. That's something that's come up with me in the past. And it's simply not true. We've been together 7 years. He dotes on me, he loves me. But it's something that has come up in the past. And it's a limiting belief. And so just noticing what that thought or feeling that's been coming up, that's been sabotaging your way of being and that's been all-consuming for your mind. It might not be anything to do with relationships. It could be to do with, work, a career aspiration. It could be to do with finances, family dynamics. Whatever that limiting belief is, just allow it to come through. Now from the neck, we're going to be placing our hands across to opposite sides of the shoulders. And again, just locking our hands into our shoulders, allowing them to rest there. And we're going to start to tilt our head from side to side. Again, facilitating that release of the neck muscles to the head, the base of the occiput, the base of the skull, and the top of the spine, where the occiput joins the top of the cervical spine, atlas and axis, C0 to C1, C2. And so just moving through all these motions through the neck, noticing what comes up now as we're moving our neck from side to side. You can go as slow as you want to or as fast as you'd like to. But again, just noticing what limiting restrictions come up physically in the body and how they might correlate to a limiting belief or a limiting thought or an all-consuming thought that has you, obsessing about the future or the past or about a certain situation with someone. We're just releasing that overthinking, that overactive mind, easing the mind. And now to finish off, we're going to be placing our hands onto our head. We're going to finish off by bringing all those thoughts and sensations that have come through in the session so far. We're going to invite them to wash off our head by creating a gentle massage with the hands. Now you can do this however you would like to. For me, I have a background in massage and myotherapy, so it's coming quite naturally, but just do what feels right for you. Don't overthink it. The whole point is to not overthink it today. But just do what your skull wants, what your skull is begging for. I always find the back of the ears and tracing the back of the ears where the skull is behind the back of the ears with our thumbs, it always feels nice. Even just circles, starting at the top of the head, going backwards. And as you're doing this, just imagining all those thoughts and limiting beliefs washing off your head with, let's imagine a beautiful waterfall. A beautiful waterfall that we're sitting under, and it's washing all of those limiting beliefs off as we do this. We're facilitating that with our hands. And just letting that all release, letting that all go. Inviting it to all go. And then placing the hands down by the sides, letting all that energy drop down and out, letting go of everything that was shaken up from the session. Noticing what's shifted from the start to now in your head, in your neck. if there was a headache before we started or jaw tension before we started, how does that feel now? So just paying attention to those differences, those shifts. But as always with the Monday movement series, especially if you're new here, I would always say try this in your own time. So this is a practice run, you watching it and going through this with me now. But if you want to do this practice again without the time constraints of, the length of this video, feel free to try this in your own time, where you could go for half an hour, for example, and really slow the movements down, just do the jaw release, do the temple release, doing the neck and shoulder movements, and then finishing with that head movement, inviting in any sensations to arise and just inviting that to be washed away by the end with that beautiful visualization of the waterfall. And so I really hope you've enjoyed this episode and the exploration of the head and neck and mind, all of that region. And I will see you next time.